All right, everybody.
Can we have your attention, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Good to see everybody in together this time of the year. We have a few opportunities to kind of sit down, see each other, and kind of catch up on a few things. This time, we didn't get to do this last year. We had to do it virtually. So the last couple of years, we kind of been knocked off kilter here on how we do this annual meetings here. So this one's on the our retirement plan that we have here. It should affect everybody, or, pay attention to what we got, what we offer. For some of the newer employees here, we have a really good retirement plan. Just simply, a good way to say it. And some of those that are getting close to retirement, some have already actually announced retirement. I think they're going to agree with you, the statement as well. So we've got, we're a defined benefit plan that the employer pays for 100% of the contribution on behalf of the employees. And I'm going to let Jody and Steve talk about their perspective parts on this. Jody is our actuator, and he's the one that runs the numbers, and he crunches it, or the handouts that you got on your retirement plan. One thing I do want to point out, there's a lot of questions that tend to get generated, but I do not mind, and I encourage questions to be asked while these two guys are present, so y'all can get whatever satisfaction you have. So in the future, from going forward, you go home, or next year you're thinking about possibly retiring, or you want to check out your benefits, or any kind of scenario, there's a whole different list of questions that can come out. I would like for you guys, everybody, to go to Tangela. Tangela, being the HR director, we need to make this a single source question. So let's not go to her and ask a question and then maybe go talk to somebody else and get a possibly different answer, which makes it hard. So just keep the focus to Tangela. Any question related to your benefits or how the plans works or anything related to the retirement issues, and then she can filter it out, whether it's to Steve or Jody or our legal counsel for any issue that we can work out there. And it just makes that channel of communication going back and forth. We want it to be accurate. We have to be accurate, so we give you good information and the right information. And this is a complex world we live in, so help us with that part of it, and we'll do our best to get you an expedited answer or help you with your case there or give you the different scenarios that are out there. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jody, let him give an explanation of what he's got to offer.
Let's see if it comes back on. It does. Hooray. All right, happy Friday, everybody. I appreciate it, Steve, bringing the gift certificate for lunch, but it just doesn't taste the same without the hot sauce, does it? It didn't taste very good. Oh, never mind. Okay.
He tried that on me and I didn't like it.
Yeah, he laughed. The trouble is Steve laughed at it, so I thought it'd be funny. I was wrong. All right, here we go. Your retirement plan. We're going to do a couple things in about 10, 12 minutes, depending on your questions. Talk about the provisions of the plan. Talk about what's on that participant statement that you were handed. So we're going to look at that in just a minute. You want to have that out. And then just some overall things that will kind of tailor into what else Steve will talk to you about. So, what's a defined benefit? What's a defined contribution? This is always kind of a question people do. And your plan is a defined benefit. The main retirement plan is a defined benefit plan. And a defined benefit does just that. It defines the benefit that's coming out of the plan. Defines what you're going to get when you retire. Where a defined contribution defines what goes into the plan. So like with the 457, the other savings add-ons that you can do, that's a defined contribution. That defines what you put in, and then what comes out depends on the market and how much you put in. But yours is defined solely by the formula, which we're going to go over in just a second, that's there. That's a good thing, especially when the market's a little crazy, and the market's a little crazy right now. So that's an excellent thing. So just a few basic things about your DB plan. It covers all the employees. You enter after 12 months basically. There's no employee contributions. It's already been pointed out. The company, so to speak, has been putting in 15–16% of pay every year for several years. So they're putting in a considerable amount of money in there to pay for this. So and that's kind of the value of it. So the value of your retirement plan is another 15% of pay, basically. So that's a good thing. The plan here counts all service since employment counts in there. Okay, and a year of service is working over 1,000 hours between a July 1 and a June 30. Somebody long ago decided that this plan ought to be on a 7/1/6/30, so it is. So 1,000 hours during that year. So I did an example for us, just real quick. Let's say you were hired March 15th, 2000, and you retired January 31st, 22. All right? There's 21 complete plan years, 7/1/2000 through the end of June of 2021. All right, so you know there's 21 plan years, and then what do you got? You got the front end and the tail end. Now the front end, 3/15 to June 30, that's clearly less than 1,000 hours. I picked the date, so it's not close. We wouldn't have to check, but that's less than 1,000 hours of work in that piece at the beginning. But the piece at the tail, 7/1/21 to 1/31/22, that's clearly over 1,000 hours. Is roughly 6 months. So that's, if you're working full time, that's over 1,000 hours. So 1 plus 21, so a total of 22 in that example is how many years of service that you have. And I know that's one of the things that can be a little confusing. So that's why I did an example. And I'll be hanging around, so if you have questions about that, just let me know. Oh, something new on this slide. If you've seen me do this before, you've heard most of these stories before, but here's something a little new. There's a reduction for early retirement. Early retirement is if you qualify for retirement before age 65 and you want to start taking benefit before age 65. The person that can do that is somebody that is at least age 55 and at least 10 years of service. So you calculate your accrued benefit and then it gets reduced. And the reduction has changed to be a little easier to understand, a little easier to calculate and explain. And it's basically 5% for every year. Technically it's 5/12% for every month that you retire early. But if you retire at 55, all the way at 55, it would cut your benefit in half. 5% times 10 years, 50%. But here's another example. If someone is 62 and 6 months old when they retire, that's 2.5 years or 30 months before age 65. So the reduction would be 30 times that 5/12, which is 12.5%. Or 5% and 5% and half of 5%. 5, 10, 12.5. So you can see what the early retirement provision is and kind of how that's changed. And I got a number example here. The formula, 2% times the service that we talked about times final average earnings. And there's a quick definition of that. It's the 5 highest calendar years in the last 10. So if for some reason, bad luck or whatever, that you have a year that is considerably lower and it's close to retirement, it's the 5 years. So I might have 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and then 3 years ago, 2 years, 1 year. So it's any 5 out of that last 10 that gives you the highest average. All right, here's an example of how that works. Actually, 2 examples real quick. Example number 1. You're age 65, you have 17 years of service, and your final average earnings is 4,000 a month. So I picked it so I can do the math without using my calculator. So 2% times 17, so 34% of that $4,000 is $1,360 a month. That's $16,320 per year. Okay? So, do another example. Here's the early retirement example. Someone is age 62, they have 20 years of service, and the same final average earnings of 4,000. So that's 2% times 20, so that's 40% of pay. The pay is $4,000 a month, so that's just intermediate number is $1,600 a month. And then we do the early retirement reduction. Down here, the early retirement reduction is that 36 months early, 3 years from 62 to 65. 36 months early times 5/12, and that's 15%. So you take 15% off of it, and you get $1,360 a month, starting at age 62. So there's your couple of examples of how the benefit works, how that works. Okay? Now, that participant statement you got. Looks like that. Take that guy out, and we're going to look at a couple of numbers. Not your numbers, but just some numbers in general, so you know what you got.
Tell them the benefit statement is in the little envelope.
The benefit statement's in the smaller envelope. The big envelope's something else. Yeah, you got it. And it looks like that.
Now, if you haven't been here for a full year and eligible to participate,
Yeah.
you will not have one,
Yeah.
so,
You weren't here a full year at June 30th.
30, yeah.
So, yeah, you might not have one, but just hold on, we'll get one of these after next June 30th. All right. Three parts of it. The top part. Top part is the stuff that we know about you, and this is just a sample one, but stuff that we have on record that we've gotten about this person. And we named him John Brown. Date of birth, date of hire, the participation, like I said, is the July 1 after you have 1 year. And then the normal retirement date, which is the first of the month after you turn 65. Now, if you get yours and you look at these dates and one of them's wrong, you need to tell Tangela, because either in her records or my records, something got twisted up and we need to fix it. It happens sometimes, but not very often. If you, like I said, that's a 5-year number. So when you see this number, don't think, I make more than that. Well, you probably do, because that's the 5-year average number, okay? All right? But again, if you have a question about it, just ask, and we'll find out. You've got your employee number, what's your attained age, and on this sample, the attained age is 60, retirement age is 65. So that's the stuff that's at the top. That's where you look and make sure that you've got the right stuff, or the numbers down below won't make a difference. The middle of the page has got numbers. Okay? But this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We calculate the normal retirement benefit, assuming you work to the normal retirement date, which our example guy is 2025. So the monthly retirement benefit, that's just what we talked about. He's got, if you look back at the top, our sample guy had 19 years of service. So that's 19 times 2% times that 33 average salary that we had. That comes up to 1266.67. All right, we got a program that we run that estimates based on your current salary what Social Security is. I'll talk more about Social Security in a minute, but just to show you that you put those two things together, that's kind of where you're at today's salary, today's average salary, when you get to age 65. So the second part of that box is where you are today. So our friend John Brown has 14 years of service today. He'll have 19 when he gets here, but today he's got 14 years of service. So 14 times 2% times that number is the 933. He's got over 5 years of service, so he's 100% vested, so that's 100%. And that's the numbers that are there in the middle. All right, I'm gonna take a breath before I go to the bottom part of the thing. Does that make sense? Anybody got a question just in general about that? Like I said, I'm not gonna go anywhere. So if you have a question afterwards about your personal one and want to look at those numbers, and how did you get this again? I'll be happy to tell you. We'll figure it out. All right. So the bottom part, there's this paragraph. Here's what I want to point out about it. If you're 55 or older, just rule of thumb. You need to go ahead and have this, get onto Social Security, especially if you've had, number one, several different jobs, or number two, you have had a second job at times that has put money into Social Security. You need to make sure that everything's there in your earnings record. That's one reason to do it. A second reason to do it is because after 55, we all start thinking more about retirement, and we want to see kind of where we're at and what that benefit is. And my little estimate's okay, it's a good estimate, but nobody exactly follows the averages, so it's good to go check your own after that so you have a better idea. So you go here, do socialsecurity.gov/my account. In fact, when you do that, stuff like, I couldn't find my real Social Security card last year. And you can just say, I need a new Social Security card, you answer a couple questions, and they mail you one. So it's a handy thing to know. So it's SSA.gov or socialsecurity.gov and my account, and it'll ask you questions and set up an account for you. That's a good thing to do to understand the Social Security part of it. Now, one thing I want to point out. You probably all know this, so I'm not, but this is important to know. Social Security's got a COLA protection, or it's got inflation protection built into it. So every year, the Social Security part of your retirement benefit would go up some. They announced last week what next year's COLA is going to be starting January 1. So that's happened to Social Security. This plan, the main pension plan for you guys, does not have the COLA protection after retirement. So your benefit is what your benefit is after age 65. So when you're managing the other pieces of your life, and like things Steve's going to talk about, you need to keep in mind that there's not as much inflation. There's not even inflation protection on this piece, but this piece does have inflation protection. So just real quick, and Steve will build off of this, but a little bit. But Social Security in general replaces these amounts of money. It gives you a better benefit the lower paid you are. So if your career is kind of on the lower level, like the 30,000 guy gets about 55% of his benefit in there. If you're at the higher end, you see the 70,000 guy, he only gets about 40% of his salary when he retires. And that's the way the Social Security formula is built, to get less the more you make. But you notice that none of those numbers are anywhere close to what you're making today. And most studies say 80 to 90%, somewhere in there, is a good place to be after you retire to maintain the same lifestyle. And one study, this study kind of averages out at 80%, says that that's a good number, so you need to get those kind of benefits from somewhere else. Now, the good news is, your plan at 2% a year, if you need 40%, that's 20 years. So 20 years gets you 40% of pay, and that's going to get you close to where you need to be in total. But again, the green part does not have a COLA protection. So that's just a real rough number. Here's one more real rough number to keep in mind when you start planning. I know you young guys are nowhere near thinking about this stuff yet, but when you start planning for retirement, here's just one illustration of some averages about mortality. A male 65 is gonna live about 20, 21 years. Yes, it's went down a little bit the last year. It's gonna be fine. I'm more worried about excess, as an actuary, I'm more worried about excess deaths from all of this other stuff that's going on in the world. From deaths of despair, more people overdosing and drinking and those things. I'm more worried about that than I am COVID. COVID, we'll get a handle on, we're getting better. But anyway, on average, there's a life expectancy. So you say you got a plan, you got an average life expectancy of 20, 21 years. That means half the time you live 20 years, half the time you don't. A little oversimplification, but you get the picture. So you can't just plan for 20 years because half the time you live longer than 20 years. So you got to plan for something more, and that's why I've got the 75% and 90%. If you want to plan age 65 and you want to plan to be pretty sure that you're going to have yourself covered, you need to be planning closer to 30 years or a little longer. You're planning for a husband and wife with a 3-year difference. You can see what her life expectancy is, and you see what their life expectancy together is. So one of them is going to live that length of time or longer. Okay, so good plan. It is a defined benefit. Let me say one more thing about defined benefit. Whatever Steve tells you about how much the plans are, that is very important and is being well managed. But it doesn't matter to your benefit. Because your benefit is what? 2% times years of service times average salary. It defines the benefit. So you don't, the trustees have to worry about that to a great extent. But you don't have to worry about that part of it. And the plan's not as well funded this June 30 as it was last June 30. Because that was a real good 12 months. This wasn't as good as 12 months. But we have the tools to manage that. So, bottom line, don't be concerned about your plan. Your plan's on a good, stable footing, and the utility is putting in enough money to keep it on that. So, any more questions? And like I said, I'm going to hang around. I'm not going to run off when Steve starts talking. But if you have some questions, I'll hang around. Just bring your statement up and say, what's this mean? And I'll be happy to tell you. So you're not staring in the light. It was my job to put you to sleep, it's Steve's job to wake you up.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody. All right, before I'm gonna talk about the investments and what's going on in the world, I'm gonna kind of tell on what Jody just said, okay? Social Security, all right? A lot of you think, well, Social Security is a long ways out. My dad took it at 62, and then he died at 63, and my mom got it at a higher benefit, which was at 62, and then she'd running out of money before she dies at 89 years of age, okay? And one comment that's kind of funny on that is I have the same slide that he showed, but that definition of a husband and wife, they have to be happily married to make it to that. And that's in our deal.
How do you measure that?
How do you measure that? Well, inside. So anyway, so Social Security, the most important decision that you're ever going to make is the age you take Social Security. And I will tell you, the majority of the people in this room, the minute you turn 62, you're going to turn it up. And that's going to be the biggest mistake you ever make. Okay? Don't care what your neighbor said, don't care what your dad said, don't care what your cousin says. It is 25% more if you wait to your full retirement age. About half of the people in here, it's at 66 or 66 in 2 or 3 months. The other half of you, it's at 67, okay? It is 25% more, and 25% more means for life, okay? And if, for instance, his benefit is higher than his wife's benefit, and he dies at 70, she gets the highest of the 2 benefits, and she lives to 93, she's gonna go to the cemetery every day and thank him for waiting till he was 66 and 2 months. Okay? Every day. May go with her boyfriend, but she'll thank him every day. Okay? So, this is extremely important, you do that. And I can't stress that today, or tonight, or this weekend, if you go to socialsecurity.gov, it's one of the few websites that the government has that's actually easy to go to. You will set up an account. Remember, write your password down, okay, because it's hard to reset your password, okay? It will ask you 3 questions. You know, who was your first girlfriend in high school? What car did you buy in 1922? It'll ask you weird questions. We think they get them from Axion and Conway, which is now called something else. But write these down. What you want to look at is what Jody said, is it's going to give you the age of what Social Security you'll get 62, full retirement age, and then it's got another number, and that's 70. And between full retirement age and age 70, it is 30% more. Or actually 33%. Okay? It's 70. Now, should people be waiting till 70? If you've got a real good health, and your pension plan is doing what you said, and you don't have any debt, then 70 is a good number. Very few people wait till 70, but I have a lot of clients that wait until they're 70 and they're real happy, okay? Now, when you do this, the most important thing is you're going to print, you're going to go in the corner, you're going to hit print friendly. Because print friendly is going to give you more than those. It's going to give you, like Jody said, your earnings history. I'm telling you, you may be missing a year of earnings history. And right now, you can probably fix it. If you wait till my age and look at it 5 years ago, when I was like 28 years old, I missed a whole year of earnings. It's not in there. The only way you can prove your earnings is with what? Your tax return. Now, do you think I have my tax return from the 20s? No, I don't have it. Now, luckily, I didn't make hardly any money in the 20s. So it didn't hurt me a little bit, but if you're getting close to retirement and you're 7 years out and you missed a year where it was $45,000 or $30,000 or whatever, it's going to affect your Social Security. So every year, because they used to send this to you every year, and it was free. Now they're not going to do it, okay? So look at it because it's extremely important. The second thing is when everybody that got the little small envelope that says here's what your pension benefit is, have that, once you print it out, look, say here's my pension income, here's my Social Security income, and here's what my retirement goal is. A lot of people in this room will actually make pretty close to the same amount of money that you're making right now when you strip out, you know, some contributions, taxes, and everything else. You'll make more money in retirement than you're making right now, if you do the things correct. And what's the biggest thing you need to do? Come on.
Wait till you see it.
Well, I would like that, but I'll settle for full retirement. Okay, is what I'll settle for. So it's extremely important to go to that Social Security website, and it's easy to go there and look. The other thing is, y'all have a plan, and it's $457, and I think it's with Nationwide. That's where you, remember Joey said there's that other little gap? That's where you need to do that other little gap. Okay? And remember, they take this out of your paycheck. I don't get paid for this. In fact, the person ought to pay me for this. But they don't. But you ought to contribute to that. First of all, it goes in pre-tax, so it lowers your income taxes. Okay? So you ought to look at that and start off. You can start off with $10 a paycheck. And then inflation goes up, then you increase it to 20 or increase it to 25. But do that other little spot, because I promise you, after you do it for 3 or 4 paychecks, you won't miss it anyway. Okay? The other thing that's out there for a lot of people is called the Roth IRA. And the majority of people in here are eligible for it. You can put it, if you're over 50, you can put in over $7,000. If you're under 50, you can put in $6,000. They're probably going to go up $500 on each one in 2023, but we haven't got that confirmed yet because they can't make decisions on their own in Washington yet. They haven't called. So this money goes in pre-tax, so it doesn't help you any right now, but it grows tax-free. So now you're 68 years old and you need to buy a new truck, and it's $50,000. And you got $50,000 in this Roth, you take it out of that, no tax. And when I say no tax, no federal tax. Okay? So the Roth IRA is another tool that you have out there, all right? So the three most important things that I can do, I want to stop before I forget this. All you people that came in that heard the rumor I'm retiring, my wife will not let me ruin her retirement. I am not retiring. It'll be in the 70s somewhere, or y'all will see me in the paper in that little obituary section. So I'm not retiring, get that out of the way. But when clients come into me and say, what's the most important thing I can do to be fully retired and have a happy life? What's the number one answer?
Happy wife, happy life.
Well, happy wife. Okay, that probably is the number one. But that's not it. When you retire, you want to try to not have any what? Debt. Number one, get out of debt. That's the most important thing. Number two, take Social Security at the right age. Then savings is number three. But remember, y'all have a pension plan. And it's a defined benefit. A lot of y'all may run around with some people that work for other companies. They have defined contributions. And they have to put money in, then they get a match, they get a statement, and they got their statement last month and thought, why am I doing this? Because the market keeps going down. Y'all don't have to worry about that, okay? Defined benefit plans are going away in a lot of areas, like IBM, none. Southwestern Bell, AT&T, none. Verizon, none. Now they have employees that locked in that have been there for a while, but there's no new money going in, okay? So this plan is very unique that y'all have. All right, and it's a defined benefit because you don't have to put any of your money into it. Okay? So if you get a chance and you know who your trustees are, thank them because they represent y'all extremely well in these meetings that I go to. Okay? Extremely well. Okay? So we've got retirement covered as far as the tools that y'all need to do to make sure that you retire. Now we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve. Does anybody know what the Federal Reserve is doing right now? They're raising interest rates. How does that affect y'all on just raising interest rates? Prices go up, okay? But there's another thing called a credit card. Your credit card, if you're not paying for them on a monthly basis, look at the little sheet. It probably says between 16.5% and 30% depending on your credit. The average is 16.5 as of 2 weeks ago. So you're making minimum payment on $10,000, you're never going to pay it off. So you've got to figure out some way to put a little bit more principle to that. And also, when you're at Academy Sports or hunting store, don't buy that extra pair of boots this year, okay? Because interest rates are through the roof, and that's how it hurts y'all a lot. I mean, it hurts us at the gas pump, hurts us at the grocery store. But a lot of times when you go to the grocery store, guess what you're doing? You're handing them a credit card. And as soon as you do that, you just increase that grocery bill even more, okay? So all of these things that I'm telling you are really small things. Unless you're 75 years old, you have time to fix them. If you're young, you really have time to fix them. If you have a spouse that works for another company, and she has a defined contribution plan, and she's getting if she puts in 6% or he puts in 6%, they match 3, and she's not doing it, or he's not doing it, it makes no sense. That's free money after 5 years. It's yours, and it's portable. You can take it with you. Okay? So these are some of the things as a financial planner I wanted to kind of bring up to y'all today. And for y'all that have been here a long time, y'all know I bring this up every single time, and my little sermonette has not changed because it is important. Okay? All right, now, any questions on that? All right, the gift cards that we gave you, I think they're $12. Okay? I think that's what I was told they are, but they didn't write $12 on it. But someone go test it and then let everybody else know. And if you're short, call me and I'll make it up for you. The first person, I mean. Not the others. You have to learn from the first person. Yeah. So in the little packet that I gave you, I'd like y'all to open it up, and we do this every time because this is one of those plans that you've heard about people doing full disclosure, you know, being able to know really what you have in your plan. Well, first of all, you got a little pie chart. And the pie chart just shows you that in y'all's plan right now, it's 78% equity, which are stocks. which is considered aggressive. Okay, these go up and down a lot. In the last, since probably 2008 or 2009, there hadn't been a lot of places to put money where you can make money except in stocks. Okay, so we're overweighted in stocks, but we're going to get back to a little bit more balance, and the reason why is interest rates are coming up. Now, if you have a CD at the bank right now, okay, they're going to send you a little notice, and they're going to tell you it's getting ready to renew, and they're going to have an interest rate on there. You need to look at that now, okay? Does it set up a 6-month CD saying 0.000, you're not getting anything? It should be around 2.5 to 3.5%, okay? So you need to make sure, and if that bank's not, you need to go to another bank, okay? Because what I'm told by my clients that have a lot of CDs is the banks right now have not raised their CDs up very much, okay? Our average CD at our company for 6 months is 3.5%. Ours are not FDIC insured, which we feel like are safer anyway than the government. But, so look at those if you got CDs renewed, okay, on that. Because interest rates are going up. We will be able to start adding bonds or fixed investments probably in about 6 months. The industry is saying right now, now's the time to buy it. I'm not on board yet. Your average bond in a market like that we're in today, and when I say the market, the stock market is down 25% year-to-date roughly. Now, it's up 500 points today, so I get to go home and prove it. So, and I'm excited about that. Okay. But your average bond that normally would lose 3 or 4% in this market, they're down anywhere from 18 to 25 too. So bonds are not a place to go hide right now, plus the yield that we buy the bonds for, they have not started to come up yet, except in U.S. Treasuries and inflation TIPS, or Treasury inflation bonds, okay? So that will be, next year when we come in here, most likely that pie chart will look a little bit different than it looks today. Now, go to the one that has the dollar. Now this is something that the utility has always let me do. Very few companies let me do this, okay? I want you to know that. But we want full transparency, okay, is what we want. So if you look, this plan has $13,586,000 in it, okay? This is between people in this room. Your neighbor does not need to know that, okay? And we always, what we do with these when we're through, unless you just gotta have it, we put them back up on the table when we leave, and then I go back to the office and shred. But you need to know that your plan is fully funded, is what you need to know. When I took over the plan in the 90s, how much do y'all think was in this plan? How much? 5 million? Let's go 500,000. Yeah, let's go 500,000. We had 5 certificates, and back then interest rates were at 10 on the certificates, so we had 5 certificates that made 10%. Now there wasn't as many of y'all as there is today, but that's what the plan. So between the earnings and the contributions that the utility is making, and the utilities have made a lot of contributions to this, even in years that you heard other companies said, we're just stopping our retirement plan. You didn't see that happen, okay? And again, I work with some of these companies, so I've been in these meetings that they say, we're not going to do the match this year, okay? And a defined benefit, you have to contribute so much, but you can always contribute more. And the utility has done their part, along with the trustees. And could the trustee stand up since Jen's on here, so everybody knows?
Thank you for that.
All right. But they've done a good job representing y'all. So when we look at their retirement plan, we've done well since 2009. In 2018, right in December, the market went down. But we made it back up because remember, what are y'all's plan dates? June 30th to July 1st, okay? Or July 1st to June 30th, okay?
That's the one that's coming.
Good. So if you look last year, the net rate of return, and I use net, that's after fees, it was up 21%. It's not supposed to make 21%, but we'll take it. At the same time, we were down 7.45% the last plan. okay? We're down 7.45. The market is down 25. I don't like to be down 7.45, okay? So what am I gonna do to turn that around? I don't have a lot of control. The control is in the Federal Reserve Chairman's hands right now. Because what he does, and I know y'all don't do this, and I don't want you to do this, but the first week in November, he's gonna speak about raising interest rates. And he's gonna raise them again 0.75. There's no doubt. And the market doesn't care. The market will probably go up. Now, if he does 0.50, which is less, the market may go down. Because the market says he's playing politics. Because the election is what? The next week. Okay? If he does 1%, then things are a lot worse than what he thinks. The Federal Reserve Chairman, who I actually liked until 3 weeks ago, and thought he was doing a good job, he was too late to the party. He should have raised them in last November or last December. And now that he told us we had no inflation, but we found out we had a lot of inflation, and now he's raising them 0.75 every time. And since I've been around, I had never seen that before. And the market's okay with that. What the market doesn't like is he's not as good as I am at answering questions. Russell's laughing. Okay? He's horrible. The last time we did this, the market went up 500 points. And they always do it at 2 o'clock Central, right before the market closes at 3. And then he takes his questions, and he's horrible at answering. And so the market goes, well, was up 500, ends up 300 down. Because of the way he answers. Because the market doesn't have time to figure out what did he really say. Okay? And then the next day, then all the other Federal Reserve chairmen speak, and the market goes up and down. We can't control that at all. Okay? There's nothing we can do about it. That person is appointed by the president or by Congress, and that person, it's almost like it's a lifetime until you don't want to do it anymore unless the president or the Congress doesn't like you, then they can bring someone else in. Okay? But overall, he's done a good job. But he's behind the 8 ball right now. And he's used the wrong word lately, which is, I want y'all to be in pain before I stop raising interest rates. And he shouldn't have used that word, in my opinion. But again, he didn't call it. So, the way we're managing your money is not going to change because of the way the Fed. The way we manage your money is going to change a little bit because for the first time, we're going to be able to use some bonds and we're going to be able to use some certificates again. Now, what is the inflation rate today? Joey was going to bring it up, but he didn't. It's at 9%. 9%. So if you have money in a checking account making 0, and you say it's safe money, Steve, I'm good, you're still losing 9% in spending power. Now, how many people are in here have started taking their Social Security? Anybody? Great answer, because I was going to ask you how old you were and then give you a hard time. Social Security for people like me, because I'm over 67 years of age, I'm 68. Yeah, 68. Social Security, we get an 8.5% raise. I've never seen that happen either. And normally your mom and dad, if you ask them, yeah, I got a raise in my Social Security, it was 3%, but Medicare Part B went up 4%. Okay, that's your health insurance that you have to buy once you retire. This year, Medicare Part B is probably going to go down a couple of dollars a month. So your moms and your dads and friends that are taking Social Security, they're actually going to get a raise. Now, in high interest rates, how does that help y'all? Well, number one, your Social Security benefit's going to go up a little bit. But the other thing is when you do your taxes this year, because most of you will be on standard deduction, is instead of being able to deduct like $25,000, it's going to be closer to $27,000 off your taxes. So in reality, higher interest rates is probably going to help you on your tax return this year, okay? Which is a positive. And that's just, you go to total gross income, less your standard deduction, and you'll see that will go up and just compare it against last year's. Other than that, as far as the market going up, it just depends on when the Fed's ready. And that may have started, when the market sees the Fed, it's going to slow down. And in my opinion, that started on Monday. I think the market has hit the bottom. And I don't know if y'all watch the market, but I watch it 24 hours a day. I wake up and look at the futures, and I don't know why, because it's changes by 8:30. And but it makes me feel either bad or for the day or good for the day. So I look at those things. But the market, I think, sees the end on raising interest rates. And they think inflation has made that turn, okay? Now, how many people in here rent? Anybody? Your rent is going through the roof. So be careful there too, and a lot of them, because there's a little clause in there that says they can go up in between terms. You know, so be careful on your rent. If you're buying and you own a house, and you're thinking because you see it on TV every day, do a home equity loan, get money out of your house, do not do that right now. You probably got a 3 or 4, maybe a 5% interest rate. That home equity loan is going to cost between 7 and 9%. Do not fall into that trap, okay? Because it will hurt you for a long, long time. And on home equity loans, remember, you don't get to write the interest off anymore, okay? So it doesn't help you tax-wise either. All right, so first of all, any questions on your retirement plan? Normally I have one from you. But it's been 2 years since we've seen each other.
Yeah, that's probably it. Hey, is there anything magical about 25 or 30 years?
The question is there anything magical about 25 or 30 years?
There's no magic here. One provision that's in this plan is you get to 30 years of service, that's all that you get credit for in the plan. So if you work, if you're over 30 years, you no longer get service credit. Now, if your salary is going up, your benefit's still going up. So the benefit will still go up, but you no longer get, it'll stop at 60% times that final salary. So that's the one kind of magic thing, and I didn't get that earlier. But yeah.
That's my one question.
That's it? You made it?
And it wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me, that was good. But I could answer it. All right, if there's no other questions, I will turn it over.
I think we got more than just a retirement update here. I think Steve did great information on financial planning. Does anybody have any questions? It seems like there will be a lot of questions coming later, but if there is, you can't think of it now, that's fine. Just give it to Angela, send an email or come by and figure it out for her. And she'll get it to the right person and we'll get you the next thing.
Do you mind if we do some drawings now?
No.
Which is the real reason they've been here for me. All right. Yep, you did the first one.
I tell you what, Angela.
All right, what we're doing. Oh, yeah, go get one. Go pick you out one. All right, we're gonna have a drawing. Everybody get their little red tickets out. You're gonna take the first one. This is for a $25 gift certificate at Academy.
The last four are 5106. Somebody's got to have it. It's me. That's you? That would be I didn't start it up very good.
I shook it. Okay.
Thank you.
But remember, she said, all right, the next one.
Okay.
Now remember, Charles Sproul says you can always draw your same number.
Okay. 5119.
All right, another $25 gift certificate. All right, big guy. You're all me 100.
Oh, man, pull you on up. How about 5102? You're welcome.
I was thinking you were going to lose yours. All right, Joe, you draw.
All right. Drum roll. 5095.
All right. By the way, you do not have to put this on your tax return. 5154.
That's me.
Who won?
I did.
Don't be looking.
5125.
5125.
Can't keep the kid. 5109.
5109. Oh, no, you can only win once. They may be upset. It is 5156. Anybody? There you go. All right. Now we're going to move up a little bit. We're going to give away 4 $50 certificates. There, you can all win twice.
How about 112?
5112. They can't win twice.
5112.
You got
All right.
I mean, 5079.
5079. It's for $50. You know, I think you win every time. I really do. Draw me one. Draw me two.
5132.
This side of the table is doing better than the other sides. You get to draw the last one.
5163.
5163.
right back there.
Would you send him a thank you note tomorrow? That's all I got. And if everybody will just leave their packet on their desk or bring it up here, and again, if you want to take it, you can take it.
I got 2 more things real quick. Next Thursday,
Next Thursday.
the 27th, one shot. 7 o'clock. Yeah, start with that. And then we'll see how those go.
November 3rd, we're going to have our employee benefits meeting where we'll have vendors here to meet with employees and talk about the benefit offerings that we have. And of course, our new benefit year starts January 1, so you'll be looking at what we have. Be ready to take some time to think about what you want to do for next year, and then you'll have to let us know by a certain day. We'll get you all that information. And if you haven't signed in, please do so before you leave.
All right, everybody signed in? You good? Turn in your packets, proceed. And again, if you have any questions, let us know. Thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all.
I'm trying to get turned around. Go up there.
I don't ever win anything.
It's Tony, where the Halloween candy at? I know you got some Halloween candy.
Come see me. Just come check me out. Come check me out. I got you. I got you.
Face it, dance too.
Trying to rob me of your Halloween candy. I know it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Drop it. Y'all have a good one here. Next time.
I should have took the free kiss.
Next time. See, I told you. Have a good one. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.
Dude, you're not saying that film those dudes running by.
Right? Yeah.
Blaine, did you get my note inside your anniversary card?
Yeah,
I seen my anniversary, buddy.
You forgot one of my details.
Oh. Look, man. I was like, whoa, that's my number. Yeah, you go slide the little card off.
Yeah, how does that work?
I literally was like, oh wait, I think that's my number.
Yeah. I don't ever get to see you.
I know, you should come visit me. I see you when you come in because I be trying to open the gate before you get there. She be like,
Do you hear anything? Because I've said hi through it. I don't know if you've heard
yeah,
it.
I see you waving.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't ever have a chance to get over there. So it's like, what do I do?
Yeah. I see when you guys pull up through the thing. So if you wave at me, I'm like, oh, there's the plane. I see him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, let me send him a little note since it's our anniversary.
Anniversary win.
Have a good one. See you later.
Not too bad so far. Problems with the fact that I have very few spare slots.
Hey Kim, I got your stuff here. Can you sign this for me?
Dale told me that,
Do you want coke test?
units on the bridge there,
I mean, you can, I don't know, stay at home. I saw you out there and I was like, I was trying to tell you.
Late yesterday, somebody said, oh, yeah, we left.
And then Tesla tried to come out and I was like,
I was just looking, I was gonna sign in, I better wait.
so that's why I had your stuff right here, because I was like, she'll slide in a minute. And yep.
I'm gonna head on back over there. And did you win the gift card?
I did, the first one. Tesla pulled it. They were like, oh, that's a setup. I was like,
That's the way it always was.
I'm on my way.
Let me know if I can do anything for you.
See you later, Noel.
I think either Marilyn or Sandra is going to be with the PO next week on Monday. They're both gone for today. All right.
Yeah, it's mainly just for in fact, according to Dale, Coolback walked away because of all my water now. I said, no, I'm sure a real nice cloud Coolback package.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe we can figure out what happened to it.
Well, I think the multimeter I've got, it's a basic one, but it should do most of what I need.
Okay. I didn't know my work. I'm
Because I was just telling him, how we do my it's a big old deal.
This and
Where do we want to put it?
No. Oh, I need a place to go.
To go over her, she's a she's contracted out this one.
I tried.
What I'm saying with that is,
I'll text it to you in just a little bit, and if I don't, then you text me, because that means I forgot, okay?
I just don't carry cards anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, are you participating in the 50% nationwide at all?
that's our plan.
When open enrollment time is the time the next week that changes. Like I said, we'll have our members
And now's the time to do it while the market's low too.
That's what I was gonna say. Is this the time to find the stock?
No doubt.